activity that's happened in the whole movie is Gamora's relationship with Thanos the Manos.
Yes,
I think
you
there's,
said it.
Yeah,
I want to coin that. Thanos the Manos guy.
Hashtag Canya. Because that touches up on parenthood. It touches up on different themes in parenthood, adoption, a love of a parent that's very misguided and misunderstood. Kenya's mom saw it with us, and she had a very interesting point of view with that too.
Well, my mom's
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. My mom's theory a bit on Thanos a little bit post Gamora's death is a bit about how he kind of wants to inflict the pain that he's feeling on everyone else, because that's what she read into it, I guess, as a parent, that he had to kill his child in order to get his end goal.
Yeah.
But looking actually at the relationship overall, for me it was a breath of fresh air, first of all, because while the MCU is filled with terrible fathers and it's all about heroes with daddy issues, it's mostly all male heroes with daddy issues. So it was nice to finally see a female and have a father-daughter relationship being explored. And I almost wish that we had more time with it, because I felt that I didn't get enough.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more. There was a lot of implications.
We'll definitely get more time with it.
But I wanted more time with their relationship and just what it was, because when Gamora thinks she kills Thanos in that one scene and she breaks down crying, that says a lot about that relationship, because we knew from the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movie that she saw her father as being incredibly abusive. He dehumanized her, he made it impossible for her to love, but yet she's mourning him, so there was some torture. Kind of connection there was some kind of attachment there to this father. And then I actually read a great article today, and they mentioned how in the flashbacks with Gamora as a child, we only see Gamora's mother. So there could be an implication there that there might not have been a father figure present before, and that Thanos was her only father figure.
Maybe she was looking for that all that time.
And she was, and she could have been. And, he might have been a shitty father on some levels, but there could have been moments where...
on every level.
Half of the levels.
Half of the levels. I think he was half of a shitty father, because he did care about her. He did say he was grooming her to take his throne, so there must have been some compassion there, and they did make a point to show it when he's shielding her away from looking at the things, and even just how he was talking to the child. It wasn't brutal or anything, he was gentle. So I do like that idea of Thanos actually maybe having been a shitty dad, but having his moments of being an okay dad.
Part of... Some people didn't like this, or at least the hardcore comic book guy type geeks, but they gave Thanos a lot more, I guess, levity, and made him more grounded in his motivations, in the sense of he's not evil for the sake of being evil. He does evil things because he thinks it's genuinely going to make the universe a better place. The whole concept of there only being finite resources, and that life is going to keep growing to the point where it become unsustainable. What he does is a hard decision. Even when he was on Titan, and he discusses it later, about he came to them with a solution to their impending problems, the population problems, and then he ended up just burning the whole thing to the ground. But he's a man who doesn't take these decisions lightly, and no one understands that these are decisions that had to be made. But that's what made Gamora's comments more poignant, because who is he to know that he's right? And they kind of had the same sort of comparison with Rocket and Thor, when Rocket was asking him, why do you think you are the one who's so special enough to be able to kill Thanos? And he goes through this long speech over, and then he's like, but what if you're wrong? And it's the same sort of thing Gamora throws at Thanos. You think you're so pragmatic, and you've thought all these things about the universe, and but who are you to make these decisions? Who are you to know that you are right? And he thinks he's right, and that's a really big
interesting
relationship.
I think that was a theme throughout the whole film, because there were lots of moments where other characters were questioning the legitimacy of the decisions of who they were encountering.
Yeah.
You saw it a little bit with Tony Stark and Doctor Strange. You saw it between Tony and Star-Lord. It was all there were all beats of, or even just that scene with Rhodes and the General.
The conference call one?
The conference call. It was all, there were all these moments of people questioning, is my gut or my feeling of what's right, or does it trump your position of power or your view on something, like who is really right at the end of the day, and like how do we like make those decisions. So that was interesting. But going back to that scene with Gamora talking to Thanos, what I thought was really tragic about all of that is she was talking down to him in what she thought was a moment of triumph. Like, you've hit a brick wall. You can't do this because you don't love anything. Like, she truly believed he was incapable of love, only for him to, like... And I really liked how, you know, he was crying and she thought he was crying for his loss, only to be told that, no, he's not crying for himself. He's crying for you. And
yeah, because he knows what his next move is. The look of utter
disdain and, like, I can't believe this. Like, the indignation that she showed in that was brilliant acting.
It was really brilliant acting. And it was also, but it was, they showed the indignation, but then they also show it kind of coming to a realization and then the horror. And it was sad because she thought he was incapable of love, not realizing that this whole time in his own way, he loved her.
That's what she said. She literally said, no, this isn't love. She looked almost like disgusted, like, this isn't love. Like, look what you did to me. Look what you forced me to do. Like, look what I am right now today. Look what you're doing.
With the both of you guys, like, did you think that, can you empathize with him? With Thanos at all?
Okay, so here's the interesting thing about, like, if Thanos reaches the goal, like, if I were to get the Infinity Gauntlet, I can do any shit I want.
Absolutely.
I can just, like, kill half the people. It's like, if it's not working, Control Z.
Yeah.
And then try again. Like, actually, I would have no problem
He's a software guy.
Yeah, I work in software. So, actually, I use a Mac for work, so...
Right. Yeah.
Scum.
But I do love Linux more, but, yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, it's very tough to sympathize with him because I get it. He thinks he's right. He wants to bring mercy to the universe, but he's not even thinking of other alternatives, making more resources.
You know what, though? Maybe it's because he's seen it. I mean, how old is this guy? He's probably seen all the things that could have happened that did happen and it didn't work, and then 100 other tries, those things still didn't work, and he still thinks... This is the only way it's going to work.
I guess it's still shaky grounds. I think for his motivations, it wasn't, I think, convincing enough because as much as we can make those assumptions and implied reasoning as to this is why, and they hinted it a little bit at Titan. I'm like, Titan is one planet amongst billions.
Yeah,
like it doesn't work, and I get what they were trying to parallel with. I almost feel like the Russo brothers they were trying to slide in like an environmental awareness message to the billions of people that will watch this movie, being like, don't let Mother Earth die. It only has many resources.
As we leave popcorn on the floor of the movie theater.
I was going to say, they kind of took in the whole concept of Galactus and the sort of balance of the universe.
I want to see him so bad with Fantastic Four.
With creation and destruction, balancing everything out, and kind of mix it with Thanos. Like, I did like that they didn't have the whole Lady Death and trying to court plot line, because I thought that might have been a bit too over the top.
It would have made more sense.
Honestly, yes, it would have made more sense.
I think it would have been a better motivation, only because it would have been a stronger thing to lean on, because if he was talking about balance in the universe, well, ultimately someone could argue back and be like, well, a planet taking itself on the road to its own destruction is essentially balance in the universe. Like,
oh my God.
You killing half of everything is not actually saving anything.
A planet is one thing, but I guess the intelligence of living creatures, like sentient living creatures, and growing exponentially is something that you can't account for with natural planets.
I really think, though, that if it was Lady Death instead of this balancing the universe argument, like, you can't debate his obsession with Lady Death. You can't be like, well, maybe you shouldn't be obsessed. It's like, no, you can't.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
But when it comes to this, you can totally debate.
But it makes him more pure evil with Lady Death, and that's not what the Russos.
This is the one villain that is okay to be one-dimensionally.
You know what? Even if it is Lady Death, like, I don't think it necessarily is purely evil, because you can argue that he's doing it out of love to impress death, and the only way to do that is to be the greatest thing to bring about death in the universe. But I think with going out down this like political like utilitarian type argument, that leaves room to argue with
exactly that's the problem,
and that becomes an issue on like, okay,
they did establish that in the most recent run of Thanos, the comic book, so it wasn't completely out of left field for me. It might be for some people.
Lemire's
is it Lemire who's writing it?
I know
the one that just ended.
I know
Yeah.
he wrote it. He wrote a Thanos. Go on.
No, but like in that, they had flashbacks of him being on Titan and actually with his father being alive and him going to him and saying, well, we have to do this, and his father disagreeing, and then him just viciously murdering his father. So, I mean...
Oh, God,
like,
that means I didn't finish that run. I just realized that.
that was like 3 issues in.
No, it was only I think it was brought up on in a True Believers that I picked up in your store, actually. So I think it was like the first one, and I was like,
Might have been.
huh. Okay.
I think the fact that we're debating it, though, shows that they at least created a really interesting character.
Right.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah.
you know, Josh Brolin gave a great performance.
I can't see him as Cable. I can't.
I can't either.
No.
I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
oh God, he's going to be Cable in like 3 weeks. Like,
Well,
and
like-
how are you
So
going to watch
Thanos
this?
is playing Cable, guys?
Yeah.
Well, like, you know, just eliminate the purple skin.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all
Yeah.
we need.
And the scrotum chin.
And the testically.
And you know, for
chin.
all it's worth, like even though they didn't have much screen time together, I think Josh Brolin and Zoe Saldana gave a great performance. Like it was a convincing father-daughter to me. Like I
Yeah.
got their relationship, even though I didn't see much of it. I got it. Like I empathized with it, and kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Comicsing.ca.
Yeah. And I, you know what, I do like putting that kind of complication and that different kind of love, because I didn't really see, other than Scarlet Witch and Vision having a romantic situation going on, and maybe there was a little bit of an inkling with Bruce and Natasha.
Yeah.
But I like that they went with a tortured parental relationship rather than a bigger love story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and you know
this
what?
was a good choice.
Ultimately, this was a Thanos movie. Like
Yeah.
as much as the title says Avengers: Infinity War, this was
Kit Avengers.
this was the Avenger. This was
This was
Thanos'
Thanos and Friends.
Yeah, Thanos and Friends. Like, this was Thanos' movie, and I am happy with that.
Yeah.
Like, for once, they didn't hold back with the idea of the bad guy winning. And for me, it kind of echoed, and this is a lot of movies always do this, but to echo The Empire Strikes Back, which is arguably the greatest science fiction star
Return of the Jedi.
fantasy.
No,
Oh, what? No, Empire is the best.
World Star.
Last Jedi.
But the thing with Empire was it was a moment where they were defeated. Like, Luke gets the worst news. They were defeated. And at the end of the Avengers Infinity War, they were defeated.
Yeah.
And
I
the
got that,
worst
yeah,
possible
yeah.
thing happened. And I thoroughly
that.
enjoyed it. I was like, yes, thank
Yeah.
you, bad guy, for winning.
Oh, yeah. Thanos' line about you should have aimed for the head might be one of the best lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a comic book movie, if not a movie, in recent history. Like, it was.
Well,
it was
like
great.
I would have to argue against that, or like I like how it ended with a death and it ended with loss, and that breaks the 3-act structure of the heroic journey, and that's what all Marvel movies are. But this is a part 1. This could be just the end of Act 2, right?
Yeah.
So you know,
I
that's
mean,
what Act
But
3.
we knew that with Empire Strikes Back, and it didn't mean it was any less of a movie.
Yeah, like
No,
I feel
no,
like
I meant like I don't. I like it as I like it when things are combo breakers, and this was a combo breaker right now. But like once they finish it, it's going to be like any other Marvel movie structurally.
And that's where I think I'd be curious to see who stays dead. That's,
Yeah.
I think, the biggest question
And I
for
don't
all
know.
of us
I
is
don't
who
know
stays
where
dead.
some people
Or who
really
will
got
die.
killed.
Yeah.
You know, like killed by Thanos, killed by something. But some people just kind of simply dissipated.
Right.
You know, they
So
kind of like evaporated.
I feel like it's safe to say most of the, for lack of a better term, conventional deaths might stick. And from the interviews that I've seen with Tom Hiddleston, it seems like this was his last rodeo. A lot
Yeah.
of people are talking like this was his last rodeo.
Yeah.
It's just, but these snap deaths are the ones that were the biggest question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think that for me, that was kind of where I was a little bit removed from the emotional impact, because I know who extended their contracts. I know who has how many movies to go. And I wish they didn't report that information, because if you are someone who follows film and follows what's going on in the industry, it does take you out of the storytelling, because, yeah, for
You're
sure,
expecting it.
everyone who most of the people who disappeared, they're going to be back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Right.
ones
And that's
that they
comics
kept
for you,
alive,
people.
Yeah, it's comics. It's not even
Yeah.
the whole contract. It's
Yeah.
just comics. They
But
will come back.
the ones that they kept alive, interestingly enough, are all the actors that are nearing the end of their contracts, that are the ones who spoke the most of, you know, I want to do other things. I don't
Right.
want to be doing this character.
So, well, that's why I thought that maybe the 4th one will just have them save the world and then ride off into the sunset.
Oh my God, they're really
Yeah.
gonna do the
Right.
The
what was
last
it,
hurrah.
I mean, somebody inevitably will die.
I really want them to have that theme song, though.
But going back to the trailer, it's like I'm happy that